and as Farooq said, counter radicalization, that if these could be discussed and worked upon jointly, then I think it will create a lot of trust and confidence. But if we say, as some Indians say, that Pakistan is an exporter of terror, so how can we cooperate with them on countering terror? I think that's a really negative way of going.
But isn't that a ground reality also, Meenakshi Lekhi? But before I come to Meenakshi Lekhi, General Abbas, if South Asia has agreed, as Manishankar Ayyar says, on a definition of terrorism, who is Hafiz Mohammed Saeed? Is he a preacher or is he a terrorist?
Look, try and understand the war which is going on in Pakistan. It is unfortunate that most of the Indians which I come across or listen to or view on TV has least idea what Pakistan is facing and what is going on Pakistani soil. You know, just like Americans, that they don't know about the world or don't care for the world, it appears that the Indian information about how badly Pakistan is suffering and how badly it is faced with this menace is mind-boggling. I couldn't agree more with Mr. Manishankar Ayyar that the two countries have to sit down and see the complexity of the problem. You know, if you do not grant that seriousness in dealing with this problem, and in the past, whenever there was a serious problem, we came out with a solution. Now take examples of nuclear CBMs under the composite dialogue. We thought that it was too serious a business, and then the thoughts and the talks progressed on that. And we agreed upon so many confidence-building measures. I think the time now requires is a confidence-building measures between the two countries, particularly on the issue of terrorism.
Okay. Terror CBMs, and I'll come to you on terror CBMs, but I want Meenakshi Lekhi's response on this. Because so many Pakistanis have died, civilians and soldiers in Waziristan, ignore Hafiz Saeed, ignore Jaish-e-Mohammed. That appears to be the signal that's coming from Pakistan.
Absolutely, and in fact, I want to discuss what happened in the previous session. A discussion came up about Samjhauta Express. Let me remind the Pakistani citizens that it was United Nations Security Council resolution numbered 1267, which talked about Kathmandu, which talked about LET, and which discussed many other such organizations which were responsible for Samjhauta Express. Now, Samjhauta Express happens because there's a Pakistani involved in it. LET works because there is some sponsorship coming from somewhere. Hafiz Saeed survives because there is no action against him. Now, you can't be countering terrorism and having terrorism as a state policy. What India is asking you to do is very simple. I think complexities are created not to come to the point. And these are created on purpose. The point is very simple. What is your stated policy on terrorism? Are you going to adopt it as a state policy, or you are going to shy away from it from a state policy and say we condemn it wholeheartedly? What is your stand?
Well, we are on record in condemning all sorts of manifestation of terrorism. I think we have gone overboard in countering terrorism, in the fight against terrorism. You know, we can pick up from here and there, we can make a hullabaloo of Swami Asim Anand also, Colonel Prohit also, Samjhauta Express trial also. But these are not the issues on which a political mileage is taken in Pakistan. But unfortunately, there is a lot of political expediencies that we see in India here against whenever it comes to the issue of Pakistan dealing with terrorism. I think the record of Pakistan is right in front of everyone. We have resource constraint, we have limitations. We could not control so many external factors which were affecting whatever was going on in Pakistan. But now, I think the political government, the military, the society is in same line with a resolve to fight terrorism, because not only it is against Pakistan, but it is also against our neighbors, and it is affecting the neighbors.
Can I just counter? certain facts have been brought on
You know,
record.
it will become an India-Pakistan. It will
Sorry,
become an
Gaurav.
India-Pakistan,
Sorry,
perhaps.
Gaurav, I must answer because something as specific as Asimanand has been raised. I need to respond to that.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Now,
30 seconds.
Asimanand and the likes are the follies of the past government in India, and the advantage is being scored by the Pakistan, which is so apparent that Kathmandu and the likes were given and condemned by United Nations Security Council Resolution number 1267. And I think they better start looking at that.
Okay, you've answered that, but this is, you know, let's now look ahead. Ambassador, in a situation where this tu-tu me starts in India, Pakistan and terror. Terror is not a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan. Terror is a regional issue or a global issue. So can there be a panchayat? You know, this region is known for its panchayat. In the good old days, not everyone would go to a court of law. Can there be a SAARC panchayat? You bring these issues, expose terrorism, and let the panchayat decide the road ahead on how to combat terror?
Well, rather than speaking in terms of a panchayat, I think certainly, you know, this is a problem which frankly covers the whole region. And the issues where we can sit around the table and focus attention on are issues like, you know, what are the root causes of terrorism? How important is tackling poverty and the relationship between poverty and terrorism? What is the impact of the Middle East and what is happening of ISIS and Al-Qaeda in terms of the whole process of radicalization in South Asia? What is the role of the media? What is the role of civil society in combating this? Because this is not, and I want to stress this, combating terrorism in South Asia cannot be restricted and confined to governments, because then we are probably, in all likelihood, going to get into this India-Pakistan divide, and there will be no progress. But this is a huge issue. Earlier in the dialogue, there was a reference to the fact that it is the Middle East today which is the eye of the storm. But this eye of the storm, in my mind, is shifting increasingly to South Asia.
And that's very dangerous.
And unless South Asia puts its head together and tackles this problem, it's really going to sweep across the whole region.
Okay. Minister Rajal, is SAARC the right forum to deal with terror? It's taken 27 years for this forum to reach this level, but the impression by and large is, you know, you talk, you have a photo of, the polite conversation happens, and that's the end of it. Where are results? Why can't there be a result-oriented approach?
That's a very good question. Let me first talk a bit about what some of the previous speakers were talking about, or alluding to. Our region has one of the largest number of poor in the world. I mean, abject poverty is to be found in so many places in our region. A large pool of unemployed youth in our countries, in the entire region. We have been killing within our own borders, not across the border, many more people, I mean, people of one identity killing the people of the other identity, people of one region killing the people of the other region, many, many other instances, as you can say. Women have suffered like anything, and we have not been able to change the plight of women, plight of minority, plight of people who are living in distant, faraway places.
But in this session, we're talking about terror. This session, we restrict
I'm just coming to that.
Can SAARC come together to combat terror?
This is directly related to terror. I mean, if you say all these things are not at all related to terror, so then we are not really addressing the issue of terror. Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is, now, the basic thing is, I mean, there is enough that has gone wrong in our region. There's enough to be blamed. We can find faults anywhere, and we can blame each other like anything. But I mean, how long should we be doing it? We've been doing it for almost half a century now. Okay. In the 29 years of existence of SAARC, we've been doing that. And we gather here today on the eve of the 18th SAARC. This is the 29th years of SAARC's existence. I had not seen a more positive environment than that is here today. Let's seize on that, capitalize on that. This is precisely what Prime Minister Modi had to say. This is precisely what we've been hearing from Pakistan. This is what we have been hearing from other capitals. Should we not be doing that? Should we still be blaming each other and saying that who did what in the past and who should be blamed, who should be punished, who should not be punished? We are not going to get anywhere. Another 25 years, if we do the same, we are not going to get anywhere. Okay. We'll still be gathered in one of the capitals and blaming each other. Let's not do that.
No, that's very positive approach. It's a positive environment and let's capitalize on it. An idea that was given Ambassador Jaisekara was perhaps have on the lines of Interpol a SAARC police force or a SAARC joint anti-terror force. Is that possible?
Because I think we should not allow South Asia to be a playground for terror. So I think that's very important and we really should work towards it because if we can do that, that would help.
Okay. Meenakshi Lekhi, a joint counter-terror force
Absolutely.
with India and Pakistan working together, possible?
Well, I think that's India and Pakistan coming together, sharing information should be a way forward. And the only thing I still have a question in my mind is, this is a region which has 50% of Muslim population of the world. This is a region where each country is affected by Islamist terrorists, along with Maoism in India and several such things. This is a region which has highest deaths due to poverty. And while we have so many issues that we can work together and come forward, terrorism is definitely one which can bring all of us together to counter it. And Bhutan, Bangladesh had shown the way because Bhutan's king in the past was one who single-handedly went after Ulfa. And Bangladesh, with the present government, has taken some very strong measures. So I think that is the way forward to deal with terrorism. And counter-terrorism desk needs to be converted into a proper mechanism from desk to a force which has to deal with it.
And real-time intelligence shared. Okay, time for question answers. A couple of questions we'll take. Ma'am, first question to you.
Thank you very much. That was as interesting as the last session. But I don't want to go back with questions unanswered when all of you are here. General Abbas said that Pakistan has gone on record to say what terrorism is. But I think that Minister Rizal of Nepal had an extremely intelligent insight or sensitive insight saying what are the root causes of terrorism. So are the root causes of terrorism for anybody political ambition or religious ambition or white-knuckle poverty which is caused due to oppression? We don't know, General Abbas, what you have said. You know, you go on record and it is a mystery for the rest of us, the Aam Janta of this region. The second question is, and that's for you, Minister Rizal, Nepal seems to have got the perception of being extremely hospitable to terrorists. Lots of terrorists that have actually been then taken to India, I can't say extradited, but you know, who have gone back, who have been apprehended at the border, are terrorists whose target was Indian population, Indian cities, Indian other targets, and they've been found in Nepal. So they are using Nepal as a conduit. Do you know that this might be incubating terror? And how come Nepal is so porous for terrorists in this region? But what are the root causes?
First, I'll just give you an example. I know you are very familiar with Nepali context. If you look into, do not even have to get into depths of it, Maoist insurgency. A large population of people who are part of the Maoist movement, became part of the Maoist movement, willingly, unwillingly, I do not know. These are very poor, simple people. Did not know what they stood for. They just wanted a better life. They knew that these are better, and that was not happening. And all of a sudden, followed the people who promised them Wonderland if they use the violent methods. And at the end of the day, what they have realized is, it has not taken them anywhere. The reason, to cut the long story short, what I'm trying to say here is, you can find many pretexts At times it becomes easier for me to say this is religious fundamentalism. At other times I can say this is Maoist movement. At other times I can say this is separatist movement. There could be many pretexts. But the thing is, terrorism is a menace. That's a scourge. Some people try to use it on any pretext. They have to find a breeding ground to involve large number of people. People here, some Maoist movement here found Midwest and Far West Hills as the breeding ground to recruit people. If you just look at people who are recruited, look at region who they are recruited from, or the slogan that's used, then you'll be looking at the only superficial reasons for the behind the real cause of insurgency or terrorism. So we'll have to go a little deeper into this. I mean, you have to go a little deeper into the layers that you see right from the top.
General Abbas?
Yes, what I said was that Pakistan is on record condemning terrorism in all its forms and manifestation. Coming back to the causes, what our experience is that military operations alone, no matter how successful, how much victory it brings, they cannot eliminate terrorism. It can contain, it can stop, it can have military successes. But it needs a political strategy because there are root causes of terrorism, or also you have to take care of that. In Afghanistan, if you see, there was no political strategy to deal with the political causes, what happened in Afghanistan. To this day, not a single Afghan has been involved in international terrorism. What they don't like is anybody occupying their land. Now, there was a requirement to deal it. The military operations should have been part of a wholesome political strategy in Afghanistan. But the Americans ignored, and they suffered because of that. So what I mean to say is that unless you also address the causes, the reasons why such groups or why such tribal people have taken up arms, you cannot go on keep killing them.
Sir? Namaste. My name is Kathmandu Dikshit. I'm with Himal South Asian magazine. It seems to me that, especially at the bilateral level, terrorist acts are used as an excuse for the derailment of dialogue. And therefore, what we must achieve is a relationship where these terrorist acts that do happen and will happen will not be a reason for distraction, because you work for 5 years, composite dialogue, and suddenly there is one act, and then you're put back by another 5 years. So I feel that a terror treaty at the top to tackle terrorism is perhaps one way to go about it. But the better way to go about it, which is what this SAARC summit, 18th summit is actually all about, is about building trust through infrastructure building, through economic linkages. Because if you have that, you will build stakeholders. Once you build stakeholders, these blasts that are bound to happen may be not come to the fore in the bilateral relations, because all our countries our governments are impacted by ultranationalism, populism. So I feel that that is one point. The other point about terrorism that I'd like to make is in relation to drone warfare. Drone warfare is being experimented on South Asia more than anywhere else in the world. Now, to what extent is targeted killings something that we need to be worried about through the air, through drones? I'm not even talking about whether it's good or bad, but do we need to be alert as we speak about terrorism and the escalation of conflict in different ways in the future, that drone warfare may firstly spread to other parts of South Asia, which is presently, it is concentrated in the Afghanistan-Pakistan theater. Can it happen? And then, given that drones now are available for $100 in the market, can you then lethalize them? Can not just terrorism outfits, but individuals do that? My question then is for Manishankar Iyer. These are just two quick comments. Looking at how Indian media controls, or rather influences, much of what and how South Asia thinks, I find it very interesting from this Kathmandu perspective, the lack of empathy shown by Indian media and media personalities towards the incredible challenges faced by individual Pakistani citizens on through acts of terror, which seem to be much more per capita than being faced by anybody else presently in South Asia. So my question to you specifically about the role of Indian media in ratcheting up tensions in South Asia as a whole.
In my view, if you could put a lock on Arnab Goswami's mouth, we'd have less problems in the circumcontinent. The fact of the matter is that the Indian media has been playing up all the negative factors in our relationship with countries around India. They've also been playing up a number of negative factors within the country. I think it's most unfortunate. I'm happy to say that there are elements in the Indian media who are attempting to counter this. But the overall impression that is given is that it helps circulation to be negative rather than to be positive. But the answer to that lies in all other elements of civil society trying to see what they can do to bring back the positive perspective and allow good sense to prevail. Because if good sense doesn't prevail, we are not going to get solutions. And so long as we don't get solutions, we'll continue to be caught in this web of terrorism that is enmeshing not one or two countries, but every single country of South Asia.
Well, there are other hands that are up. Okay, last question, because I have to wind up this session for lunch.
Mine are not questions. A few points to flag, and then I think this would give us further food for thought beyond this interaction. First is, I come from the other side of the town where the council is going on, is to build on a narrative on terrorism, extremism, radicalism, vis-a-vis governance, sustainable development, and rule of law. I say this with purpose, and which would be vindicated in a few days' time as the summit concludes. Second, you are referring to 1987, but 2008, there was another one, which is Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty on Criminal Matters, which really help us in terms of, that's pending ratification right at the moment. So that should be one of the markers for us to look at. The third point would be that, because that's pending ratification, which is very important. The third point would be, reference is made to two desks, and I'd really urge that you please look at the civil society level on the functionability of the two desks. There's a third one which is upcoming, which is on cyber terrorism or cyber crimes. So from at your level, maybe if you look at that as to how that can be made effective, that would really help. The next point would be that 2005 was a watershed, because that's when SAARC Home Minister's Home Secretary's meeting started, and also a police conference. Now, I hear the reference of SAARC poll. Actually, SAARC poll has been there for a decade on the surface. It's been moving through highs and lows, but I'm quite interested to see that now it's again surfacing. I would hope that maybe it can really travel to its destiny. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are very interesting points that you made. The fact that SAARC poll is there, it really needs to improve. The fact that it needs to be there to improve.
It's not, it's still in concept.
It's a concept stage. Because it's a great idea if you can have something like the Interpol or the SAARC poll or the SAARC poll, if that should work. But I would like to thank all our guests for being a part of this panel and discussing these ideas. We can talk more during lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.